Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to another episode of Albion Online with your host, BlackBoa here. Today, we are going to start out with trying to put together some pieces of a guide that I'd like to create. After you've created your character, before you click Enter World, make sure that the Play Tutorial button is highlighted in yellow. It is important that you, as a new player, play through the tutorial, as there will be a bunch of tips that we will be telling you that can supercharge your fresh start ambitions. Without further ado, let's enter world. So here we are. We just landed in the tutorial island. You literally want to follow these instructions step by step. You don't want to skip ahead or anything just because there's certain ways that this tutorial wants you to complete things. So make sure you do things in order. The first step says click on the ground to start moving. As you can see, it's a click to move game. You'll see that the current quest objectives are at the top. It just says find a way to the beach. We'll continue through here. And you stay in the highlighted area until you see the yellow check mark. You just kind of click complete and then you click accept, and now they want you to go up here. Now it says use the spell on your boots. Your F key just means sprint. You're sprinting, and now you go back to this gentleman. Now in this video, as you can see, we are in an accelerated closed beta server for the Asia server that's launching on March 15th. So you'll have to gather a few more pieces of wood and stone here. Like that, we click complete. Now he wants you to go to the blacksmith and craft yourself a broadsword. Click on that, click craft, make sure you have enough materials. Now they want you to equip your sword and put a skill, click one of the two, and then they give you a shield for doing so. The last quest is let's equip the shield and kill our enemies. These enemies are not anything too difficult. One important thing to note here is spacebar is auto attack your last target. I'm pretty sure this tutorial later on tells you that. At this point in the tutorial, they want to share with you what the destiny board is, and it's really important. The shortcut for it is B, but let's just click next to follow the instructions to it. And it says the destiny board consists of nodes. Nodes show the progression and skills of your character. I will go into this in detail in a moment. Unlock nodes by gaining fame. Fame basically is any activity that you do as an active participant in, you get fame in. So if you're killing monsters, you're getting combat fame. If you're crafting, you're getting crafting fame. If you're gathering, you're getting gathering fame. There is combat fame, earned by defeating enemies, exactly what I said. Gathering fame for the gathering resources, exactly what I said. And then crafting fame for crafting. Details can be viewed by selecting a node. You can select the node on here and you can see the details. Again, I will explain this further. And then unlocking equipment and skills. You will unlock equipment and skills by fulfilling the requirements of the next level of the node. As you reach enough fame, this little yellow bar here, I'm sure they'll go into more detail. As you reach this, you've unlocked future things, such as tier 3 unlocked in this example. So this is asking you to defeat any enemies to unlock it. To give you a deep dive of this destiny board, I want to highlight a few things. So this is the center, and then if you scroll up along this vertical axis, combat to the left, crafting to the right. As you gain fame, you level up an overall node known as the adventurer level. And each time you unlock the adventurer level by doing any activities for fame, you get to unlock certain benefits such as riding horses, oxes, bags, and tools. As you go up, you just keep getting access to more and more things. As you can see here, you now can equip these faction capes in addition to the other things. You could also equip a satchel with the added benefit of the Great Heart. I wanted to let you know that this is kind of a unique node. Another unique node that you will hit once you start doing combat. When you're a T3 Reaver, it's good to fight T3 mobs. When you get to a T4 Reaver, it's good to fight T4 mobs. And when you get to a T5 and so on, it's good to fight T5. If you fight a T6 mob, let's say, and you're an expert Reaver, you're going to notice that it's going to hurt you a lot more than it would otherwise. Make sure that you absolutely level your Reaver before trying to go above and beyond what you're capable of. You could do it if you so chose. You could still technically kill them, but it might be challenging and it might be difficult. So now that you know about the adventure and Reaver level, let's talk about the combat side of the equation. Your first node here is the trainee fighter, which we will be actually completing in the tutorial. Then it spirals outward to all the different nodes for combat, whether it's the armors or the weapons, depending on what you choose. In our example today, we will be choosing the bow line. I've already made that determination. So when you get to the journeyman level of bows, or when you get to the journeyman level, you will start to see that you can branch off into these individual individual nodes. We're going to choose bows. When we choose bows, then we go up further so that we can see the actual true leveling system of the game. Once you hit this node right here, the T4 node, this is known as the Mastery node. Mastery is a leveling system from 0 to 100 that allows you to gain increased item power, which is bonus health, damage, defense, etc. But also it unlocks different levels of gear that you're able to use. Gear levels in Albion, we call them tiers. So this right here is a T4 item because it shows the number up here, 4, and it doesn't have any enchantments. If these diamonds were highlighted, any one of these or multiple of these, then it would have been an enchanted node. So we would have called it T4.1 if there was 1, 2 if it was 2, 3 if 3, 4 if 4. So just know that we'll get into this later, but it's important to know how you can identify items and use them. Again, by defeating mobs, you level up and you unlock spells, additional spells, whether they be active or passive. You unlock greater usage of items, so now you're capable of wearing a T5 item, and then T6, T7, up until the end, which is T8. T8 is the highest tier that you can get in Albion Online. So it's important you know what the mastery nodes are and how to level up your weapon to get the skills unlocked. But there's even one additional level of progression in Albion, one additional level of progression here in Albion. This outer node is known as the specialization node. Whereas this mastery node levels up no matter what bow you use. Any of these bows you could use and level up this node to 100. The specialization node is unique to a specific bow, so you have to use a war bow to level up the specialization node. And why would you want to do that? Because each time it levels up, you get additional item power, and item power is basically the measurement of your strength. It also gives you a specific bonus to the war bows, which is very high. So the question becomes, what happens to all the EXP if I decide to continue to use the weapons that I'm currently using, which are both maxed out? What happens to that fame? Where does it go? The answer to that is combat fame credits. So combat fame credits can be earned by converting fame from eligible nodes on the Destiny board. Eligible nodes will have a button to the left of their fame bar which opens up the conversion window. Combat fame credits can then be used to unlock mastery levels of other nodes via the same window. If you understand that when you're fully maxed out on your mastery and fully maxed out on your specialization, you will begin to earn combat fame credits, and it's going to be 20% of the fame that you would have earned. One big tip that I'd like to tell you that is a common failure for many new players is the misuse of learning points. And one of the most common ways that learning points are misused is for players who are interested in gathering. Because gathering is considered one of the largest grinds in the game. It takes the longest, and it's a very long grind. Because that grind is considered among the longest, for new players, it behooves them to use learning points once they hit the 20% threshold in these nodes, so that they can move on to the next tier of their tools. This is important because, again, it cuts down on the amount of grind you have to do to get to the higher levels. The higher levels is where the money's at, so you want to get there as quick as possible, and learning points are the best to do. A lot of people who gather just don't even think about that. If you plan on gathering and you're a new player, make sure you use learning points on gathering. Now, talk to the young lady, you hit complete, accept her quest. She wants you to go to the marketplace and buy a mount. We're going to go over here. And here's the marketplace. It gives you a tutorial of the market. I guess it'd be good to give you guys a little tutorial of the market as well. Here you can sell and buy items. Once you leave the tutorial, marketplace of the cities will be purely player driven. Almost every item in the game is player crafted. Use the search bar to look for specific items. So if you know the name of your item, you would type it here. Press buy to obtain the item. If you want to buy something, you press buy. Find the novice mule in the marketplace and press buy. So this is telling us we want to buy this. And you just click buy and you have your mule. Do not forget to equip your purchase mount via your inventory shortcut. Why, thank you. Now, one thing to be said about this mule, as well as the market, right before you leave the tutorial area, you may want to come back to this place, simply because in a fresh start server, mules are among the most important travel pieces initially, because the economy is not set up to have any mounts other than the mules that you get from the tutorial. You could probably buy 1 or 2 more in addition to the one you're riding before you leave, so that maybe you either can save it for if you lose yours, yours, or you could sell it for some early silver. From the marketplace, head north and you will find the next quest. And this gentleman would like you to acquire a beginner pickaxe and a beginner's axe. So you click accept and the crafting tutorial happens. Check the toolmaker's inventory to see what you need to craft. Use what you learned about gathering resources if you don't have enough mats. This is where it wants us here. This is the toolmaker. We luckily have enough resources from the previous area. We click that, we craft the 2 things that I wanted to, go back to this gentleman, click complete. He then gives us 2 more tools. And now he wants us to check out the open world. And let's press the M key. This is the world map. Here you will find information about the whole continent of Albion online. Okay, so let me do a little bit of a deeper dive into this map now, because that was great, but it doesn't tell us much. We're going to open it up again with the M key. And let's actually move our cursor to the world of Albion. Let's talk about this for a moment. Everyone begins in the Royal Continent. Where in the Royal Continent depends on the final quest for this tutorial. You get to choose whichever location you want to start out at. But let's say you want to start out here, Highland Cross. Once you select your Once you select, you'll be here, but we're actually going to do that, so I'm not going to go into it in too high detail. But the reason I want to show you this map is because when you click on the maps here, there are different levels of risk. Number 1, you have the blue zones. Blue zones are safe regions where players can't attack you. Now, if we go further into the center of the Royal Continent, you see a yellow zone. A yellow zone, players can attack you, but they have to flag up for it, which means they have to intentionally go hostile. And if they do attack you and they down you, it is not for full loot PvP, so you do not lose your gear. You just have a 2 or 3 minute down status. You just gotta wait it out. The only way you lose your gear, though, is if you do end up using the slash suicide mechanic. Do not do that by accident. After the yellow zones, we have the red zones. These are also still in the Royal Continent, as you can see. And if we go to the red zones, we have the full loot, the first instance of full loot PvP. Full loot PvP in the red zones, again, similar rules to yellow. A player must intentionally flag hostile, but this time if they kill you, they could take all of your loot, except for any gold or silver that you have, or any items that have a specific status that say they do not drop. These could be like silver pouches or tomes, for example. Last but not least, we have the larger portion of the world here known as the Outlands, or the Black Zone. I tend to call it the Black Zone because that is how the tiles are delineated here. If you click on a tile, you see it's the black region. And here, everyone is automatically hostile to each other. So there's no manually flagging up. You are literally hostile to each other no matter who you come across, unless you're in the same guild, alliance, or in a group. Now that you've viewed your map, we go back to Crafter Silas, who is ready to complete our quest. Thank you, Silas. He is telling us now to go into the forest and start gathering logs and hide, and then return to him afterwards. So they are going to teach us a little bit about gathering right now. So here we are, recognizing resources. That's what a birch tree looks like. That's what a fox looks like. That's not going to pop up anymore in the real world, so you'll learn about all the resources eventually. But the first thing they want you to do is just kill some foxes. And the leather gathering profession requires you to actually kill things before you can actually gather it. So leather's a little bit unique in that way, whereas a tree is chopped immediately. Leather, you have to kill the creature. As a result of that, however, generally speaking, leather is the most expensive item on the marketplace in most scenarios. After you've gathered all the materials, the birch and the hides, go back to Silas. He'll be happy you click complete. And now he's telling you to go to a different zone and gather copper ore and cotton fiber. And you'll see a lot of cotton and fiber right at the front here, but on release of a new server, it'll probably be even more contested. So you might need to go out a little bit further. After you gathered the ore and fiber, go back to Silas, click complete, and now he's asking you to use the refining stations to refine all of these resources. So we go over here, we click on the bar, we have 100 there, we click craft. And there we go. Next we go to the hide. You'll see you're unlocking a bunch of different nodes here. Then again, we are accelerated fame, so yours might take longer than this. So these resources were actually required for this particular quest, which is helping to build a crane. You're going to give some of these items, and you're going to get your soup and learning points. And now we go back here to Tia, who will give us our soup and learning points. There we go. And now we need to do a quick quest to level up our training combat nodes. Also remember that the A button is mount your mule. I have not been mounting my mule this whole time. I should have said, hey, you have a mule, remember, press the A button to mount up. By opening up your local map with the N key, you get to see where it wants us to go. We're going to go over there. And we're going to fight some of these. Now, that little tooltip was the spacebar tooltip that I mentioned earlier. Auto attack, your last target is spacebar, and hence it is very important. Another interesting hotkey is the inspection key. It's the Y key. You click on somebody and you click Y. You get to see what they're wearing. Later on, you'll see in the top right-hand corner there will be certain symbols indicating how high their specialization is. And then, of course, you can see what their item power is as well. So let's just walk here and steal the maps. Yoink! After you take the Heretic map, go back to Captain Tia and hit complete. Now she wants you to go craft Novice Armor and Weapons, which is basically Tier 2. So here we go. Let's go and craft what we want to use here. Warrior's Forge. Now, it's important to tell you a little bit something about crafting stations. And it would probably be better to do this after you're out of the tutorial. But just for now, just understand that there's two tabs here. There's the weapon tab and the armor tab. I believe when you get out to the tutorial, there's one more tab known as the study tab. We'll get to that once we get to it. In my scenario, I already know what I want to use. I want to use plate boots, so I'm going to click on the boots here. Good choice. Craft that. And that's all I wanted from the Warrior Forge. I then go to this beautiful young lady here at the Hunter's Lodge, and I choose my bow. It's the weapon I want. And I actually do want some armor from here. The armor we're going to choose is going to be leather for a future build that I already know that I want. So I'm going to go through the leather node. And last but not least, we will likely go with a cloth helmet. We'll likely go to a cloth helmet here so that I can use it in a future build as well. After I believe you craft those items, go back to Captain Tia. So once you crafted your gear, just one thing to keep in mind, make sure you choose the right items that the right abilities that you want to use. If you don't select an ability, it'll show up as a question mark at the bottom to remind you that, hey, you have no ability selected. So make sure you just double check everything is what you want it. Then you can complete the crafting quest. Now, this is the final objective of the tutorial. This is where you may want to get rid of anything you've gathered at this point and try to buy a few donkeys to bring with you to the starting areas. You can craft yourself a bag, however. So make sure you do that before you leave. Then one final thing, as I said, was get rid of anything you don't need here. Now, some of you might want the resources. I don't currently, but some of you might. Just understand, pick and choose for yourself what you want to keep, what you don't. You just want to have room so you could pick up a donkey, you know? That's 46%. That's 90%. So including your own donkey, you could take 2 extra. And like I said, in the early game, these donkeys go for 30 to 75,000 silver. It's ridiculous, but that's what it is. So make sure you bring a donkey with you. Mount up and start doing the final quest. You have to kill at least 10 mobs here, which is fine. Now see, this guy, here, I'm going to ask him. He's taking too many. How many donkeys do you have? This guy is moving so slow. 14. The fuck? What the fuck? This guy is moving so slow, dude. After you kill those 10 cultists, or heretics, whatever you want to call them, you then have to go and start burning ammunition. You then go north. Alright, let's hold on to this. And here we go. You're basically done. As you can see, the ship is rolling in. The ship rolls in. It's time for you to pick your destination. And here is the final. Talk to Tia, talk to the first mate, and pick a destination. Accept. So at this point you have a choice to make. Although here it's only giving me one option, this will not be the case at launch of the Asia server or in the current server. You will get to choose any of the 5 cross areas. So you'll be able to do Highland Cross, Steppe Cross, Forest Cross, Mountain Cross, and Thetford's Cross, whatever one you call that, okay? Considerations on where to go, right? Considerations on where to go here are kind of important. Number 1, you and your friends. If you have friends, make sure you all choose to go to the same starting area if you want to play with each other. So ensure you're coordinating that, right? Coordinate with your friends which one you should choose. Second, if you already know that you want to be a gatherer of a particular resource, certain biomes are better for that than others. For example, you'll be able to tell what resources are where by clicking on a tile, and if the resource is highlighted, that means that's where the resource is. If it's not highlighted, that means you will not find any leather or cotton, no matter how hard you try. So always, if you're wondering where to find a certain resource, look around the areas and you will see that there are highlighted items. Now, this is true for all types of this biome. This biome is known as a highland. Every single highland will have the same type of resources in it. You will never find any of these in a highland biome. So if you're looking around and you don't see where leather is, make sure you're choosing a different biome altogether. Let's click Buy Journey, and we arrive in the beautiful world of Highland Cross here. Make sure you click on that, you hit complete, and basically what happens here is, as a gift from the tutorial, they will end up giving you 3 free days of premium, if I'm not mistaken. However, it's not given here since everybody else has premium, but when this goes live, that will be the case. There should be 3 days of premium there. So you've selected your location, you've talked to the quest people, you've gotten your first 3-day premium. If you bought a founder's pack, you obviously will have premium from the start, and you're ready to rock and roll. Now, a lot of these icons have now lit up. In the tutorial, they were not available, so I think it's only proper if we talk about them a little bit. One of the biggest reasons I love Albion Online is because you are able to purchase premium service with silver. Now, I know it does not show it here. The reason is there is currently no gold market. This is a closed beta. It ends in 21 days. No one needs to buy any premium. Albion allows you, at server launch as well as on the Albion West server, allows you to buy premium with silver. Premium is super important, especially if you're just starting. It gives you more learning points, 30 learning points per day versus 10 per day without premium. It gives you focus, which is something that supercharges your return rate, whether it's resource return rate from refining, crafting return rate from crafting, or even island return rate from animals, herbs, and crops. You also get 50% more fame, so you level up quicker, and you also get the ability to buy an island. It used to be that you could only buy an island if you had a month of premium. However, if you decided to buy a smaller package from the Albion Online store, I believe you just need a minimum of 7 days of premium to buy an island. You get more silver and loot for mobs, more gathering, more crop yield, more animal growth, and reduced taxes. This icon is for your friends. You can invite friends and then you'll see whenever they're online. This icon is the statistics. This is somewhat a leaderboard essentially. These are statistics that you would then put on, that you can then filter down. So if you want to see your statistics, you can do that, and then you can even go down to your ranking if it's available. Because this is a new character, we don't have that available yet. Guilds, there's a whole guild interface. You can create a guild. You can find a guild by searching for different recommendations. So if you're a guild-oriented player, you can look there, and there's a seasonal overview, which is part of the guild seasons as well. So you have all these different areas. I'm not in a guild, so it's not showing up for me, However, I can see who's winning in the season so far. So far, it's Cat Army. This is just your inventory, which is the shortcut of I. One thing to say about your inventory too is you can actually expand the details of it with that little caret here. Just expand the details and you can see all these other details that you might want. You have the mail system. And then this is a very important activities tab here. There is a party finder. However, it's not very good unless people know that you're using it and then they can come and use it. You have an arena tab here where you could sign up for unranked arenas or ranked arenas or even create a custom match among friends. And then you have the Adventurers Challenge, Faction Warfare, and Conquerors Challenge. I want to go down to the activities tab because this gives you a look at all three plus some additional bonuses that you might see. So as you can see, the personal challenge progress has the adventurers, the faction, and the conquerors. If you want to go to any one of these, you just click and you can go directly to it, and you can just X out and you'll still be on this screen. There is a daily event that happens. Usually it's part of it is crafting or refining, so production bonuses for today are frost staffs and stone. And then there's a larger event here that gives you a bonus. So this is an ore gathering bonus and yield. And this actually lasts for another 7 hours and 34 minutes. So just know that this bonus is here. To dig deeper into the Adventurers Challenge, all you got to do is pretty much either gather or kill mobs, and you pretty much are gaining these challenge points. If you earn 600,000 challenge points, you get a nice avatar ring and more importantly, a nice mount. As you also unlock these different thresholds, you get chests that could contain a number of things, including silver pouches, tomes, and other sellable items. You also get your daily bonus of a fame tome worth approximately 10,000 fame. Just make sure you claim it every day, or else I believe you lose it. And pretty much this just rewards you for playing the game, the Adventurers Challenge. That's how I would explain it. As you play the game, you're going to fill this up. Now, the Faction Warfare Challenge is very similar to the Adventurers Challenge. You need to enlist in a faction before you see all of the relevant details. But as you earn faction points, which is similar to those challenge points that fills up the adventurer bar, these faction points will do two things for you. It'll unlock these chests, it'll give you a daily bonus, and it will also allow you to rank up in your faction. Now this is a very important screen here. You might wonder why can't I do faction right away? Well, it says here, the factions are currently locked because it requires you to be an expert adventurer. You have to be an expert adventurer before you can engage in factions. But all you need is overall fame of 157,000, and that will be easily accomplished just through, again, playing the game. The final activity that we haven't talked about yet is the Conquerors Challenge, and this is for individuals who have premium status. There's a couple things that happen here. You get a weekly chest that you can grind for, known as the Conqueror's Chest. And as you go through these thresholds of 5k, 10k, 15k, then the 20k, you also earn what is known as favor. Favor is a currency that can be used to buy fame tomes, basically tomes that you use, and you increase your fame on every piece of gear that you have equipped. You have more of these Conqueror's chests, but at a lower tier. This is a TA one. You could buy more of these at the T7 level. That's what I usually do. And then last but not least, you could buy something known as Siphoned Energy. And Siphoned Energy is an advanced tactic used to supercharge the item power of an individual who uses it for 30 minutes. The downside is there's a chance the gear that has been supercharged will break at the end of that 30 minutes. So that's the button for it right here. You need at least 10 siphoned energy in order to use it. But as you see, it'll give it an additional 100 item power for 30 minutes, and there's a 15% chance the gear will break and be permanently destroyed. The reason why these starter towns are so critical for early game gameplay for either new or returning players is because these crafting stations that you can see if you press the N key, you can see all of them here. They do not charge anything. There are no fees. There are no silver fees to actually use these. They never run out of usage because sometimes there's crafting capacity that needs to be refilled before you can craft again. But these are really good because you can craft everything for free, and you can even craft gear to level yourself up to the T4 craftable region, The only thing is, because these are T3, you will not be able to actually craft T4 here. You'd have to go either to a major city or create the crafting stations yourself. So this is important to know, that you want to stick around here in the early game until you get all your crafting up, if that's what you choose to do. By no means do you need to craft and gather in this game if you do not choose to. I personally believe it is a good idea to at least gather and craft to the T3 levels to equip yourself with T3 items. You may not want to go further after that, but give yourself the option initially to see if you like it, and then you would be able to save some money instead of purchasing things from other players. If we were to go check the crafting stations, they are going to look a little bit different than the tutorial ones. The biggest difference is obviously more items to craft, because this is a tier 3, it goes up to tier 3 items craftable. But this is really the newest part of this that is very important for crafters who want to speed up their crafting. After you craft an item, you can study the item and it'll destroy it, but you will gain at least 275% of the crafting fame you would get from crafting it. So this is huge. This is very, very big. Crafters who want to craft quickly rather than sell their items should just put them in here and just salvage them here, basically, you know, study them, and they would increase their fame exponentially by getting this amazing bonus. So always keep that in mind. That'll be good. These other quests here, I personally don't think you necessarily need to do them. The tutorial taught you everything you need to know. However, there are some additional quests for people who care to do them. I'm not going to go through them simply because they are, in my opinion, not necessary. However, it's your gameplay. This is a sandbox. You can do whatever you'd like. The bank is in the center usually, and this is a good place to store a few items. This is why this whole area is pretty important. You do have an auction house as well, so if you do want to start crafting stuff for lower tier players, you could certainly search the market for those type of activities. This other building here is probably one of the more important stations as well. It's the repair station. You will find a repair station in every city, and it's interesting because not only can you repair, but let's say you do not want a certain item, you can simply drop it here and salvage it, and you would get the resource, at least a portion of the resources used to craft it, back. So salvaging allows you to just, you know, instead of studying the item, you could salvage it for resources. And then last but not least, there is also the re-rolling of item quality. Items have different quality. You can tell the quality right here when you click on the item. This says good. If I wanted to increase that quality, the game is charging me silver to re-roll the quality. Let's see if we get lucky. Okay, this brought us to the outstanding level. I want to try one more time, see if we get it to this level. I'm wasting my silver by doing this, so I don't recommend you do this. I'm just showing you how this works. And there you go. This got us there. I definitely don't recommend anyone do this on T2 gear, because this gear is going to be gone before you know it. You're going to be upgrading your gear very, very soon. Now, although each cross location, each of these starting areas has a bank that you can put your items in, as well as a marketplace that you can sell your items in, it's important to note that in Albion Online, there is no global banking and there is no global marketplace. So all the items you see on a particular marketplace are the items that are here exclusively. These items are not anywhere else. Same with your bank. If you put your items in here and then you go to another bank in another city and say, hey, where'd my items go? The banks are not shared. Everything is individual. So that encourages movement, that encourages commerce to get people to sell things in one area or buy things in one area and sell them higher in another. Many people also transport their resources to certain cities because certain cities are giving better resource returns. To give you an example of this, if we were to open the world map and we were to go to Marlock, city of Marlock, this is the next place that you go. It's only 2 or 3 zones away, 2 zones if you choose this path. If you go to the city, you will notice that if you press this little information button here, this little caret, it's going to tell you what kind of bonuses it gives. And so if you are an axe crafter or a quarterstaff or frost staff or plate, shoes, or offhand, these are additional bonuses that this area gives. So you might want to move here for crafting and then maybe sell your items elsewhere if it would behoove you. Another big thing is refining bonuses. In this particular area of Marlock, it's hide plus 40% resource return. That's huge. So if you wanted to get a ton more leather out of your refining, you would travel to Marlock and use the hide, use the stations here to get bonuses. You can look at this for every single city in the game, including Black Zone cities and including hideouts. Thank you so much for watching, everyone, and that is it for part 1 of this guide. Hopefully it helps you out in Albion Online and all your future adventures.